Hi, I'm Alicia and welcome to my channel Papercraft Secrets. Today I'm sharing two scrapbooking layouts that I created with Mintay's childhood collection. This collection is great for scrapping those child photographs and it's very colourful and bright. I made two layouts. I'm going to take you step by step and show you exactly how I created both of them. I started with these two papers, and these are the scene papers in the Mintay collection. This is paper number 1 and this is paper number 3. I began the process by trimming off the barcode for both of the papers. And you'll notice that these papers are very busy papers. There's not a lot that we have to do to create a beautiful layout. I used the frame papers on the back and I cut out these little frames, the insides and the outsides, and I used these for my photographs, for the outline of my photographs. I printed my photographs on my sprocket and that brings them to just this tiny little size that fits perfectly into these little frames. I'm just going to use some tape to hold them in position because there's only a small edge that I can sort of attach to the frame. So I'm just going to use some tape there to just hold that down onto the frame. I took these photographs of my two boys at the start of the school year so that I had a record for them, for what they looked like at the start of the year for this year. So I know a lot of people will take a photograph of their children on the first day of school, and so this layout would be suitable for those photographs, those first day of school photographs, or it could be suitable for any photograph of children. This really does have that childhood and a school theme running through this collection. So there's my 3 photographs for this layout, and I'm going to position them in a sort of a cluster there. I'm going to put some cardboard on the back of those so that they will be elevated from the page a little bit. So we'll get that cardboard on the back now and we'll allow that to dry. We won't stick it down to the layout just yet. So we're going to have a little play around with how the photos will sit on the layout. Now the next photos were slightly bigger, and I printed those out on a 6x4 style photograph size, and instead of using the small little frames, I chose to use these frames from the Mintay frame book. So I'm just fussy cutting those out. And that would fit nicely on those photographs there. So I'm just going to glue that directly onto the photograph. The smaller frames didn't suit these larger photographs, so this gives you a couple of options. It depends on what size you print your photos out. The Mintay frame books are really, really good for just adding a frame around a photograph, and then you can use those frames on any of your layouts. So just trimming that down. I only used 2 photos on this page. The photos were slightly bigger, and I didn't really have a third one that was really much different, so I just kept it to a 2 photograph layout on this side. So now we've got our photographs sorted for our 2 layouts, and now we can begin to play around with our design. These are some of the beautiful papers in the Childhood Mintay collection. This page here in particular, it has a lot of the fussy cut images. I had all of this pre-cut so that I could use these images in my layouts. I'm just playing around with the design of adding in some of these pre-cut elements to see if any of these might work with the layout. And then I've also got these Cocoa Vanilla titles that I thought might also work at the bottom of my layout. I wanted something quite heavy and something that would stand out because the layout is so busy. I wanted something that would catch the eye. I kept the layout really quite simple. You can see that it's just got the 2 photographs, it's got the title at the bottom, and then it's going to have some fussy cut images decorating it. On either side of the photographs. I will talk a little bit more about those elements as we go through the layout. Alright, so let's start with gluing our photographs down. I'm happy with the position of the photographs. I'm going to have them slightly on angles and slightly overlapping each other in the center of the tree. I'm just playing around with the title a little bit, making sure that I'm happy with how straight it is. I'm going to use some recycled cardboard on the back of my fussy cut images to elevate them off the page. I have a floral cluster on one side of one photo, and I have the yellow banner and a little bunny rabbit. So I'm just sort of playing around with how I think these might go on the layout. A little bit of cardboard on the back of the bunny to allow that to be the same height as the floral cluster. And I'm playing around with whether the banner should go on top of the bunny and the flowers or underneath the bunny and the flowers. decided to add some little foam dots to give the banner a little bit of height on the page. And I can slip that under there. Put my little bunny down behind, next to the flowers. And so I've created a little cluster of embellishments on the side, the flower cluster, the bunny, and the banner. I'm going to repeat the same idea on the other side of my photos, and this is going to balance the layout out on both sides. So there we go, there's our little banner at the bottom. Let's move that up a little bit. There we go. There we have our flower cluster. That's just going to have a bit of cardboard, and then that's going to be next to the frame, and you can see it's got that lovely gum leaf sort of sprig of leaves. That's going to sort of just go across the banner. I was tossing up with these red shoes because my little boy Billy actually has a pair of red shoes, and one of his favorite colors is red. So sort of tossing up with the red shoes there in the middle. Just popping some books in behind the flowers and give it that sort of school theme. I'm going to add a little heart on this side. I feel like my heading was just a little bit off center, and I think that heart will just sort of center it a little bit more, and some of those little lines, and then I'll balance some lines on the other side. I changed the red shoes for another flower cluster. Even though the red shoes were really cute, I've added a little twig in there to balance the other side. So I'm going to pop that up on some foam dots because I like these little branches that are in this collection, and it creates a sort of continuation of the design. I'm just popping that on top of the bunny. Now in the middle here I've cut another flower cluster. There's a page of flower clusters in the kit that you can fussy cut out and add to your layouts, which always makes a layout easier to create, I find. So I'm just going to pop that in the middle there. Even though the red shoes were really, really cute and they could easily be used, I decided to go with the flowers. I just thought maybe a little bit of cheesecloth underneath these flowers might add a little bit to the layout. Just give it a little bit more texture. So we're just going to glue that down. And then you can see that little extra branch that I fussy cut out just to balance the other side, because one side comes, the flowers come with one branch, but I needed another branch on the other side to balance that out. So just adding some little foam dots and sticking that in there. So I've got the flowers in the middle and then the branch going below both of the photos. Very good. I found a little pencil cup in the fussy cut page that I thought would be nice to just add on to that section there, just to add to that school theme. Now at the top of the photos, I chose to decorate. You don't have to. You could leave it exactly as it is without decorating. But I chose to add a little flower in there. And another little flower in there. This is the page where I cut all of the flowers from. It's a really great page. I'm going to add 2 more flowers to the top. I like the way I can get the branches to sort of drape over the frame of the photo. I'm going to glue that on there. I'm just cutting that in half because there's a lot of flower. I don't need too much flower. I'm really just wanting a little peak of flower and the branches. Just sitting that there. I'm deciding that I will just cut that apart so I can sort of add that over the top of the frame. Like I've got the other one over the top of the frame a little bit. So let's put a couple of little dots on the back of that. And I'm just going to add that there, and that will join those flowers together. And we've also got these ABC blocks, which I thought could possibly go in the middle there. Maybe a rainbow. Might look cuter. I do love rainbows. Not sure. Maybe a butterfly. I love butterflies. What colour should we choose? These butterflies are from the wing book, the Mintay wing book. Maybe this orange butterfly. Just pop that there in the middle. Alright, that's looking good. That layout's pretty much done now. Let's move on to the next layout. Kind of got the 3 photos happening on this layout. Got one underneath on one side, one underneath on the other side, and then one on the top in the middle. So it's sort of like a stack of photos. There we go. There's our photos in position. Now our title. Going to use the same words that, the same title, the Cocoa Vanilla titles. I like a sort of black foam, and I'm thinking the words bloom and grow for this one. So just cut those out on their plastic so I can sort of get a better feel for where they would go on the paper. Okay, so that's Shine Bright, Bloom and Grow. They're both sort of educational kind of titles or childhood titles. We're encouraging our beautiful children to grow. I'm just playing around now with some elements that I fussy cut. What should I use? I'm going to follow the same style as the layout before. So maybe I will use these books to focus on the school layout and the globe perhaps. Nicky's in year 4, so he's that little bit older. So he can have some little sort of more educational things. There's 2 little flower clusters that could go in behind there. Maybe the ABC blocks. A little pencil tin, perhaps. So you can see how you can use any of the elements in this kit, in these papers, to create a little scene of images here alongside our photos. I'm happy with the books and the little tin of pens, and I'm happy with the globe, so I'm going to glue both those on, and the blocks. You can see we've got a big image and a small image on each side, and then I'm going to slip in a little flower behind that. I'm not putting that on cardboard, I'm just gluing that straight onto the page. So we've got a symmetrical sort of design where it's even on both sides. And here I've got some fussy cut flowers. I'm going to stick with these flowers because flowers work for me. I've chosen three different clusters there to put along the bottom of the layout, along the bottom of the photos. And I've glued all of those down. Have I glued those down? I think I glued those down without it being on the camera, but there's 3. Oh, there's one going in there. So there's one on that side, one on the other side, and one in the middle. There it is. So you can see how I did that. Again, trying to keep that sort of symmetrical design happening in this layout. Oops, I'm putting another one in. See how I get a little carried away here. This is usually me, I just keep adding and adding to things. What am I doing now? Just going to cut up a little bit of cardboard. Okay, so in goes another flower under that little branch and underneath the books. I'm just going to put some little foam dots there to hold that branch in place so that it's supported onto the page and it's going to stay where it needs to be. You can see how even after I've glued, it can sort of move around a little bit. That's a good thing because you can sort of play with it if you're not happy with it. So there goes the middle flower. So we have one on each side and then one in the middle. Put some little foam dots on the leaves to hold that in place. That's looking good. There goes the other flower on the other side, putting some cardboard on that and just slipping that in there. That sort of evens it out. Alright, I'm happy with where the heading is going to go, or the title is going to go now. So let's put that there. It's hard to sort of decide where to put the title because there's so much going on the background paper. It's a very busy scene page. Let's put those titles down. And that sort of can be tricky to get the title straight. You look at it and you think it's straight and then you want to change it a little bit, but you can actually carefully pull that title back up and straighten it if you need to. Now I'm thinking maybe this rainbow in the middle here, perhaps. I do like rainbows. And you know, it kind of goes with the bloom and grow theme of a rainbow. So let's think about a rainbow in there. Oh, we're gluing it down. We're not thinking about it anymore. It's happening. And of course, a butterfly. Would this go nicely? It's sort of off center. We're moving away from that symmetrical design there. We're just sort of going just that little bit off center. I'm going to do the same up the top that I did on the other one. Again, you don't really have to do this extra decoration, but sometimes when you're going with a layout, you just keep going and going because you think, well, that looks a bit blank now that I've done all of that down there. I need something at the top, so I'm just going to cut these up to suit this top section, and I'll just make a softer edge of the photo frames at the top. And this just took a little bit of playing around to get it right. Because all of the designs are the same, the branches only go one way. So you've got one sort of going over and one going under, if that makes sense. So it sort of plays with my symmetrical design a little bit. I can't get it exactly symmetrical. But you can see how that just sort of adds a softer effect behind the straight frame. And if you're doing this on a plain background page, which you very well could, you'd notice the layers a lot more. The challenge for this video was to use a scene page in the Mintay papers, and you'll notice in every one of the Mintay collections that the first 3, I think, could be the first 4 pages are scenes. So that means they are large pictures. And sometimes people say that they have trouble using the large picture scenes in the Mintay papers. So we did do a week of using those papers to try to give people some ideas on how to use them. Basically, I pretty much just ignore the design on the background paper and just go over the top of it. That's kind of how I approach it. But it does mean that you don't have to do a lot of decorating if you don't want to. You could just stick your photos down and that would be enough in your title or your journaling. All of this extra layers is all sort of optional. You can use the Mintay papers to create very simple layouts. Looks like we're putting another butterfly in there. Oops, our 2 butterflies are going in. I'm actually really happy that I scrapped these photos. It's nice to get these photos into an album. Let's add some little dots onto our branches. And these are just going to curl over the edges, the corners of the frame. I'm just going to soften that corner. What am I doing? I'm just cutting a bit off there. These layouts were really fun. I had a great time creating these. I think the titles go perfectly. Really like the titles with this collection. Let's put a little bit of cardboard on the back of that rainbow. Looks like Billy's going to get a rainbow too over here. Just going to go in there. There we go. Oops, no, I'm moving it up. Let's sort of, oh, I'm moving it back. See how you can easily move that around with the glue. There we go, that's beautiful. What else am I adding? A couple of love hearts to balance the title out a little bit. A couple of those little, I don't know what you call those little accent things, just to balance it out like the other layout. I think I have to cut one of these just to, there we go. Beautiful. Where shall I put that love heart? Should it go up there or should it go underneath? There we go. That's our layouts finished. Love the colours, I love the images, I love the fact that I scrapped these photos. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching and have a lovely crafty day.